Hello and welcome this Saturday, February 19th, 2022. I am your host, Gray, and welcome to another video blog of the Misfits of the Galaxy vlog series. A series where I'm trying to put together a campaign setting using content from various places, as well as a bit of my own, in hopes of putting together a D&D space opera setting for for my podcast group, the Isle of Misfit Rolls. If you haven't heard of us before, I'll put a link down below for our podcast recordings. We have been traveling through the world of Vertes, a creation of our mighty DM Mike, for quite some time now, and we finished season 1, and we're super excited about season 2 just around the corner. We'll be beginning it maybe in 1-2 weeks, give or take. Anyways, I'm super excited about that. Season 2 is just around the corner, and we're going to be doing a Twitch live stream this time around. So if you want to join us and listen in on that, I'll put the links up, and we'll be doing that every Tuesday. I think around 8:30, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Typically runs maybe 2.5 hours. We greatly appreciate it if you join it. You might get lost initially unless you listen to the first few podcast episodes, although I'm fairly certain one of our players, Jake, along with Adam, is trying to put together a sort of like crash course on what has happened, like when we left off, sort of deal. Because while we might know, a lot of our gentle listeners do not, unfortunately, or have lost track of it all. Anyways, I've rattled on long enough about that. So today I am going to be introducing factions. I'm going to try to introduce 2 factions. We'll see how much time we have, and possibly touch upon one of the alien races found within the Misfits of the Galaxy campaign setting. As I've said before, a lot of this content comes from the Dark Matter campaign book, which I will put the links down below, which is done by Mage Hand Press. They do some. This is in no way this is in no way me endorsing them because they're giving me free content or anything like that. I've paid for everything that I've received from them. They just have really good stuff, in my opinion. And I hope you would check them out, because I'd love if they keep on publishing stuff well into, I guess, 5.5, 6 edition, well, whatever's coming up next, right? Anyways, so the first faction I'm going to talk about is called the Burned Legion. And because I'm going to be talking about the Burned Legion, which is has something is reminiscent of something in our player Jake's character Tavrook, I've decided to invite him to listen to this. So, hey Jake, hopefully he can give me, as I've said before, I've been introduced, initially this was supposed to be a surprise for all the players involved in the Isle Misfit roles, but I've been slowly introducing the players as well as Mike to this one by one, in hopes of being more engaging with this and getting more input from them as to what they want to see if we when we get to playing this. Because I figure season 2 of Isle Misfit Rules is probably going to be the last season of the campaign, regretfully. Anyways, let me just jump right into the meat and bones of the matter. So, on a world in the neutral zone, or you call it the demilitarized zone, between the Elven Empire and the Ave Ra theocracy. I don't think I've mentioned the Ave Ra before. What you need to know about them is they are, for the most part, religious fanatics who worship the sun, and they're the primary species of the Ave Ra theocracy are known as the Ave Ra. They're wingless birdmen from a desert world who can perform miracles. based on their reverence of the said sun. And they've been fighting the Elven Empire for centuries, close to 1,000 years. Yeah, but both the races are rather long-lived, so for them it's like maybe 1-2 generations. Because they've been fighting for such a long time, they often hire proxies to fight in their wars, like mercenary companies, uh, armies from other legions from other races and what have you, to fight in their war. As if both species were fighting on the war front themselves, they would quickly deplete their numbers at a staggering rate. So in this particular case, on one of the worlds there, I haven't decided on the world's name yet, so I'd love some ideas. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge from the players of Isle of Misfit rolls. On that world, the Ave Ra theocracy was losing against the Elven Empire. And so their commanders called for a retreat of all their forces. The Ave Ra of their forces, not their mercenaries or anything like that. Or if they did, the communications didn't get through. So the Ave Ra theocracy pulled out its troops and then proceeded to invoke a powerful, like their priests, their mages, and what have you, performed a powerful ritual from the orbit, focusing the energy of the sun down on the planet, basically in an orbital bombardment of radiant and fire energy or heat energy upon the world, incinerating everything on the surface. Just complete scorched earth policy, wiping it out so it was nothing but like deserts had been turned to sheets of glass, and like anything was burned away aside from stone. A lot of it melted to slag or concrete or whatever. A truly terrifying, devastating spell. When the dust had settled, when the ritual had been completed, they waited until the surface cooled down a little before sending their forces down to confirm that the enemy combatants had been destroyed. Well, when they landed on the surface, they were shocked as soldiers poured out from underground and proceeded to attack them en masse. No one knew where they assumed they were survivors, but they couldn't identify whether they were elven. They couldn't identify what units they were from or anything like that, because their armor had all been badly burned and scorched from the incident. So what had happened were all these mercenary soldiers, be they companies, legions, squadrons, whatever, they managed to hear the to intercept the communications that the Ave Ra had given to their forces, but they couldn't get off the surface fast enough. So one of the forces, rather than just keeping that information themselves, shared it with all the other military units on the surface. Hey, this is going down, and they en masse fled into underground basements, underground garages, uh, underground caves, wherever they could get to get off the surface, because there was no way they were going to be able to evacuate the world en masse fast enough. Even with that, the heat and the radiant energy and the heat was just overwhelming. It killed countless thousands of their numbers. And those that did survive, their armor had been badly burned and scorched from the incident. So when the Ave Ra theocracy returned to the world, It didn't matter what side of the conflict these soldiers had been on previously. They, as a united front, just went after them hardcore. Like, no holds bar, relentless attack against them. And they managed to hold their ground until a relief force from the Elven Empire arrived and managed to chase away the Avera theocracy. These soldiers decided, rather than going their separate ways and what have you, to due to their numbers having been dramatically diminished, not just from the orbital bombardment, but fighting the Avera, that they were going to they all merged into a single mercenary company, a legion they called the Burned Legion. Uh, and eventually their colors changed to a dark, almost burnt red color, in homage to this conflict that united them all as a armed force. So the Burned Legion is a military presence in the Misfits of the Galaxy campaign setting, in the galaxy at whole, who often hire their services to the highest bidder, although there are two exceptions to that. First, they refuse to sell their services to the Avera theocracy. Additionally, they are willing to undercut their they're willing to cut their what the price that they charge if the conflict is against the Avera. Clearly, these soldiers, or at least in the soldiers that used to be part of the Burnt Legion, still have a grudge on their shoulders about the incident. The current leader of the Burned Legion is a commander whose name Jake is going to really like, is Tavrok. Not the Tavrok from our Vertes campaign, obviously, but a grizzled hobgoblin veteran who was named after a great hobgoblin hero from the past, or maybe it was a mythological character, according to the hobgoblins. Who knows? So this grizzled veteran is the commanding officer um, who leads the Burned Legion from a carrier ship, and oftentimes the Burned Legion are considered to be almost like angels falling from the sky, because they come in hot into conflicts. They typically, the battles are already raging when they show up, and they use drop pods to descend from orbit down onto the surface, where the Burned Legion proceeds to pour out of the drop pods in these Magitech, almost Magitech powered armors, make them almost 2 meters tall, where they proceed to just pour out and just annihilate their enemies. They're like they seem to have a preference for fire-based weapons of various sorts. So they'll be using like fire wands and larger variants thereof. Not to mention melee weapons. They love melee weapons that have some sort of fire effect of one sort or another. As for what species are involved with the Burned Legion, well, they're predominantly hobgoblins, I guess. But beyond, since hobgoblins have this almost military culture to begin with, many mercenary companies and hired soldiers are typically from their race. It, they that's not necessarily the race isn't that important when it comes to the Burnt Legion. It's skill. Skill comes in, like skill is most important according to them. So you have a lot of other mixed races in there as well. So you'd have humans, you have elves, uh, you'd have halflings, gnomes, because those guys are great at uh, like sneaking in when brute force is not necessarily going to win the war per se. You, you'll have Scathari, which another race I haven't mentioned before, Goliath, whatever sort of deal. Like they'll all be. You'll even have Ave Ra renegades in as part of the Burnt Legion. But like I said, one of the things that they kind of focus on is that they refuse to work for the Ave Ra theocracy. Uh, because while most of the veterans of that conflict are now retired at this point, uh, they have sort of instilled these doctrines into the Burned Legion, which they still follow to this day. The Burned Legion themselves, like they don't attack civilians. They have a strict code of sort of honor that they follow, although it's not necessarily a code that is like lawful good. Although I really hate the alignment system, to be quite honest. They it's it Since most hobgoblins you normally follow a sort of lawful evil or lawful neutral perspective. So they have this military code of conduct, and they follow a strict military hierarchy within their organization, with the commander obviously at top, which is this grizzled veteran, Commander Tavrook, and this chain of command all the way down to your I guess private conscript who is recently enlisted in the Legion. They're willing to take anyone who is willing to join and survive their grueling boot camp, to say the very least. If you manage to pull your way through boot camp, congratulations, you are officially a raw recruit. And given your private in the Bird Legion, given your first suit of armor and your first weapons, and you'll probably be shipped off to some sort of armed conflict somewhere almost right away, because in the Misfits of the Galaxy setting, uh, wars are always happening, and wars are their bread and butter. It puts food on their table, pays for their ammunition, and keeps them all gainfully employed, in a manner of speaking. I So that's kind of like what I have planned out for the Bird Legion at this point. I don't know how much more detail I can put into it at this present time. I'm hoping that my like Mike, as well as Adam and Jake, as well as anyone else who's listening to this, have some ideas as to what I can throw into it. I think it's a nice homage to the Burned Legion of Vertes. While we've never actually encountered it up to this point, uh, Tavrook is used to and perhaps still is a member of said Hobgoblin Legion. So I think like I said, I'm trying to like throw into this Misfits of the Galaxy setting bits and pieces of like hat tipping to not just not just older versions of D&D and like video games and television and movies, but also to the campaign that we are currently playing in the Isle of Misfit Rolls. Maybe I'll do something with Syndrax next. Maybe I'll make him a somebody named Syndrax a horrible villain, because God, do we hate that bastard in the in our current podcast. Anyways, I've ranted on for almost 20 minutes now. I know I said I was going to try to introduce two different factions. Apparently, I've only had the time to do one. So I think what I'll do next session or next vlog is I'll introduce the Cabal, another faction, and if I have time left over after rambling about that for a bit, I'll jump into the Averoth theocracy, because it's good to know who the power players are in this campaign setting. Anyways, till then, it's like may all your D20s be a net. Take care.